What's up guys, Jeff here with JTS, and today I want to talk to you about how your posture can actually be negatively impacting your overall results as well as your health and well-being. Now, you've probably heard a lot of people talk about how posture is important, but let me talk to you about how it modifies and leads to breathing dysfunction, which can actually have a negative response on your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So first, let me explain kind of what good posture is. Good posture is being able to stand tall, shoulders back in a good neutral position, head is in a normal position, so from the side, every joint is basically stacked in a good, nice column. Now, bad posture, which you've probably seen, I like to go to the extreme version, which is basically like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, who looks like this, right? Now, if you sit often or a long period of time, so if you sit at a desk all day or you drive a lot or anything like that, you're probably going to be in a dysfunctional posture. So you're probably going to be in a kyphotic posture, which is this forward slump position. That means that your shoulders are rolled slightly forward, your rib cage is pushed slightly down, your head is forwardly tilted. Now, how this negatively impacts you physically and overall health, as well as just fitness related, is that it actually basically gives you a breathing dysfunction. Why this happens here is if we're in good posture, our rib cage is open and our diaphragm has enough space to basically breathe into, right? We're able to breathe deep into our belly. So if you come to JTS, we do a movement drill before we start warming up, and it's deep belly breathing. We're trying to activate low abdominal breathing into our diaphragm. What this allows us to do is create belly breathing and takes away chest breathing. So chest breathing is breathing up in your chest or neck. Now, with a dysfunctional posture or a bad posture position, so that kyphotic forward position, you're actually hindering your ability to breathe naturally and controlled. So you're unable to fully breathe into your diaphragm, which causes diaphragm dysfunction. Okay, so if we look at it from the side, if I'm normal posture, I have an open chest position or open rib position with an ability to breathe deep into my diaphragm. Now, as I start to slump more and more and more, going into this kyphotic position, my rib cage starts to compress on my diaphragm. What this leads to is me compensating, and instead of breathing into my belly, compensates into breathing into my chest, so breathing up into my chest and neck. Now, by doing this, we increase the dysfunction of our posture because we actually create more tension and more strain on our neck and chest from this deep breathing and basically constant shrugging throughout the day. It also disengages the diaphragm and lets you not have as much trunk stability because the diaphragm sits around the spine and the trunk. So if we're unable to breathe into our belly, deep belly breathing into the diaphragm, we're unable to properly support and engage our trunk. So by sitting in a negative posture position or kyphosis or kyphotic position, you're actually hindering your ability to breathe. So if you want to work on this and get a better, so how this actually ends up negatively impacting you, one, makes you start breathing in an unnatural position, so chest and neck breathing, which actually puts you into flight or fight mode, because by being able to breathe into your diaphragm, your body is naturally regulated. It feels comfortable, it feels safe, and it doesn't need to modify or feel scared. Now, when you breathe into your chest and chest, shoulders, and neck, it's almost like you basically go into that fight or flight mode. This means that your body is aware that it's not under perfect position and it's under some sort of stress. This stress causes that chest and neck breathing. This puts you into fight or flight mode, which puts you into basically almost like a lockdown mode. It kind of forces you into either being scared or being ready for action, right? So if you're a fighter going into the cage, that's great. If you're trying to run from an animal, that's great, but we're not doing that. So actually our breathing is putting us into negative situations for prolonged periods of the day. So bad posture is not just bad posture, it's bad overall health, because we're adding increased stress to our body that's unnecessary just by changing our posture and keeping a better posture. So by having bad posture, you're constantly under even more stress than you are normally from work, training, relationships, any of that kind of stuff. Just your breathing has a negative impact. So a few tips to help fix this is, like I mentioned earlier, if you come to JTS, we do our breathing drill before we start warming up. That's deep belly breathing. So if you don't come, you don't know what this is. However, all you want to do, lay down flat on the ground, put one hand nice and firmly right over your belly button, and put one hand right over the top of your chest. From here, you're laying flat on the ground, and all you're trying to do is breathe as deeply into your belly button hand. So I like to give a little bit of pressure so I can feel the push or the air expanding in my stomach, pushing down into your belly button with that bottom hand, and breathing deep into your belly. Okay, I like to try and take about a 3-second inhale, a 3-second hold, and a 3-second exhale. Your goal here is to not feel any elevation or breathing coming into your chest, only into your belly. This will help activate the diaphragm a little bit more, help you kind of release some stress and tension in the chest and shoulders, and then help kind of re-regulate your posture. Now, that's just the breathing part. Now, if you want to work on your posture, there's a couple things I recommend. Really focusing on trying to keep yourself out of this curved over kyphotic position. So if you sit all day, try and neutralize your shoulders and neutralize your chest up so you don't have a compression on your rib cage down to your diaphragm. You can modify this by standing up, sitting on a Bosu ball or some sort of stability ball that you have to actually support your core and trunk, and really just try and avoid curving over. So if you think about it, your back starts to hurt as you curve. If you keep in good position, you might not have the lower back pain because it doesn't have the unnatural stress pulling you forward. So that's just a few tips and tricks that you guys can implement to help your posture. But more importantly, it's very important that you guys try and regulate the amount of bad posture or kyphotic nature you have to help you better breathe and better help you see better results. So you have better trunk stability during movements. So you have the ability to breathe into your diaphragm, which supports your trunk and spine, as well as just overall health and well-being by reducing the overall stress that your body is under long periods of time just based on bad breathing technique. So start taking that into consideration, implement some of those tips, and really start working on good posture so you can get and release some of the stress that you have that's just caused by bad diaphragm dysfunction.